This is the headline. Rachel Zegler, in her own words, I refuse to assimilate for anybody else's comfort. We're going to dive into what she means by that. This whole article here, it's not an article, it's actually an interview. This whole interview right here is a masterclass in how one can contradict themselves so many times that you end up leaving not knowing any more than when you started. We're going to see what's going on here with Miss Rachel Zegler, who, if you are new to the channel, Rachel Zegler, we are big fans here. Aren't we, Jose? Yes, we are huge fans. We have dubbed her America's sweetheart, and she can do nothing wrong. And we will prove that. We'll prove that with this interview, that she can do nothing wrong. But hey, if you are a new viewer or if you are returning, welcome to the channel. I'm Chase. This is Cut to the Chase with me, Chase. And hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video like this going forward. Okay, so let's start off. You got to understand something about Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler is an interesting breed. She is a narcissist. So we have to jump about midway into the interview to get the groundwork for where Rachel Zegler's head is at. So it's right here. And she is talking about her biraciality because she is Polish and Colombian, and the struggles that come with being that, apparently. I grew up proud of being Colombian, eating the food, wearing the dresses, drinking the coffee, doing all the things that were so intrinsic to who I was as a kid and who I am now as an adult. But I do think there's an argument to be made that, in the public eye at least, when you're two things, you're simultaneously nothing. But I refuse to assimilate for anybody else's comfort. There you have it. That is the groundwork that we are to play off of. She is a victim of being biracial. We first discover that here in the beginning when they talk about this flop that is Snow White. Why do you think Snow White failed? Okay, for my viewers that are watching. I'm literally asking. I want you to think about that. And I want to see if this is the first answer that came to your mind. The interviewer is writing here. She became a target of relentless trolling and spiraling controversy following her casting in Disney's 2025 Snow White live-action remake, and was scapegoated for the film's mediocre box office figures. First off, let's get something clear. It was not a mediocre box office flop. It was an absolute abject failure. That's really what it was. Side note, I was way too lenient in my review of Snow White. If I was to review that again, I would be so much harsher on that movie. It was not good. I was very lenient when I shouldn't have been. Right there, that needs to be corrected. Now, remember what your answer was when you were thinking, why would Snow White have failed? Scapegoated. Was that on your list? That Rachel Zegler was a scapegoat for its failure? Not on mine. It wasn't on mine. So the interviewer is posing that the movie was a failure because of Rachel Zegler being a brown girl. She goes into it a little bit more here, where she says her casting was accompanied by an outcry from those that claimed her Colombian ancestry made her unsuitable for the role, and this was an example of a woke diversity hire, which, let me just say, that is correct. Okay, here's the thing, though. Nobody has a problem with Rachel Zegler until she made it a problem. I can prove that by going back to The Little Mermaid. Nobody had a problem with Halle Bailey. I think anybody understands, hey, Hollywood roles are hard to come by. This is a massive role. Who wouldn't take the offer? If I was offered a part to play Black Panther in some alternate universe, of course I would say yes. It won't ever happen, but of course I would say yes. So I can't blame her for taking the role if it was offered to her. That's why you look at Disney and be like, Disney, shame on you, because you should have known better. However, the unique experience with Rachel Zegler was, while Halle Bailey was very poised and very demure, Rachel Zegler was not. She was not. She was, how do you say, an annoying infant and self-entitled brat. That's what she was. She railed against the classic version, saying it's outdated and that the prince was a stalker and weird. Okay, cue it, Jose.
Weird.
And then she would say things like, I deserve to be paid for every minute it is streamed. And then she talked about how she didn't like the movie when she was a kid, but then she backtracked and said she did. And so all of this was making her unbearable. She even said that the prince honestly didn't even need to be in the movie. He could be cut out and it wouldn't even make a difference, which I think she's right. Because, Jose, did the prince even kiss Snow White? I don't even remember. I don't even remember if he did, which proves her point. That is why people hated Rachel Zegler, is because of that. Then to add on top of that, the movie was way over budget, had countless reshoots, and the CGI was terrible. And then there was the controversy with the dwarves and those being CGI because Peter Dinklage said it would be backwards and weird to cast real dwarves to play those roles for some reason. So Disney said, well, we don't want to hurt Peter Dinklage's feelings, so we won't do that. Instead, we're going to do 7 magical creatures. And then the people, we said, what is going on here? And then they said, okay, yeah, we're going to do CGI dwarves. There was a lot that went on. It was delayed until they finally just put it out and said, to hell with it. And then it flopped majorly. So no, it did not flop because of Rachel Zegler. There was a lot of issues with that movie. Rachel Zegler just happened to be one of them. So they go on and they talk about the flop that is Snow White and how she had to come out of that. And she came out of it a hero. Even though she did her damnedest to sink the movie, she still came out a hero, triumphant. Because the interviewer asks, hey, that movie failed, but since then you seem to have been on a redemption arc with plays and Broadway and all that kind of stuff. And Rachel Zegler corrects her and says, you have to have actually done something wrong in order to be redeemed. In other words, I don't know what you're talking about. I did nothing wrong. She cannot do anything wrong. She was absolutely in the right the whole time. However, Rachel Zegler doesn't really mean that. Chase, she literally said it. How can you say she doesn't mean it? Well, when we look here, she has another quote. And she says, I wish I'd had maybe 5 more years on me before all that happened. A little more frontal lobe. And she's talking about having developed greater emotional maturity before being thrust into the spotlight. So, what is it, Rachel? You wish to have a little more frontal lobe. There's something there that she understands, that she knows is there, but she won't allow herself to know what it is. It's like when you have an unidentified file on your computer and you click it, and it's like, brings up this pop-up and says, what program do you want to use to open this with? Well, for Rachel Zegler, there's something there, but she has a program in her download folder named responsibility.exe, and it has yet to be unzipped, much less downloaded into her own operating system. So she recognizes that there's something wrong, but you have to have actually done something wrong in order to be redeemed. So one of the best examples of this comes later in the interview when they talk about the controversy with Gal Gadot and her saying Free Palestine. So quickly there, she made a post on Twitter saying, hey, thank you all so much for the views on the Snow White trailer. I'm really excited for all of your excitement for it. And then she subtweeted and said, by the way, Free Palestine. And there was a lot of backlash that happened because of that, which expanded over to Gal Gadot, being that Gal Gadot is Israeli and she served in the IDF, mostly focused on Gal Gadot. Because at the time, about a year ago, seems like forever ago, But about a year ago, when everybody was all about free Palestine, it wasn't a good look to be Israeli and online, and Gal Gadot got a lot of backlash for it. So what does Rachel say about that? She says, if I had been able to predict everything that would come my way, not mine and Gal's, not our, mine. She's only focused on herself. The threats to my safety. No mention of Gal. I would have just thrown my phone into the ocean. Not taking responsibility. Not being like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have posted it. I probably would have just left it at the Snow White celebration, all that. Just, that's it. No. I would have just avoided any of the confrontation that came out of that. I still would have done exactly what I did, but I would have just ignored everything, which is actually worse, I feel like. And then she doubles down saying, I've said what I feel, and that will always be a testament to my core beliefs as a human. That's where I stand. Nothing to be learned. Wait, Chase, no. Keep reading. What else do I need to read? You live and you learn. That's what she says. And there's caution that comes with that. Wait, hold on. Rachel, you just said if you had to do it again, you would have done the same thing. Like, you wouldn't have changed. But then you're saying you live and you learn, which would insinuate that you would have changed something about your behavior of what you did. It's like saying, I still would have robbed the store, I just wouldn't have stolen so much. Like, that's not the lesson you're supposed to learn, actually. But that's Rachel Zegler. She's completely contradiction. You live and you learn. The only way you can learn is if you made mistakes. But you have to have actually done something wrong in order to be redeemed. She makes no sense. Do you guys understand what she's saying? Do you guys understand what she's trying to get at here? Because I don't. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about what Rachel Zegler is saying, and if it makes any sense to you at all with what she's saying, because I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. So let me know down in the comments. And if you like this video, go down and like it. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. And guys, I just want to ask, there's a link down in the description to coffee. And what that is, you can go there and donate a very small amount to help out in the production of this studio here. Help out Jose, me, and just to give you an idea, okay, some of the money I've earned from YouTube has gone into making this. This used to be dark because this would always time out. The natural, actual lights that came with it, it would time out. So it's like, well, I'm never going to use it. And then got some YouTube money. And now look, I can turn it off and turn it on. I can switch colors. Okay, I got a little light strip in there, and I was able to do that. Spruce it up in here. So that's where your money goes, is to make things a little bit nicer in here. Thank you all for your support, and again, let me know what Rachel Zegler is saying in this interview. Fill me in. She's America's sweetheart. We're big fans of her. We're just trying to understand. And as always, guys, peace out.